जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंजा बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे। Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadramaya. Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttamaśloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 2nd chapter, the activities of Maharaj Agnidhara. Text number 6. It is in prose order. We will read word to word translation purport. Word to word translation. Tam to her, Eva indeed, Avidure nearby, Madhukarim Iva like a honey bee, Sumanasaha beautiful flowers, Upajigranitam smelling, Divija of those born in the heavenly planets, Manuja of those born in human society, Manaha mind, Nayana for the eyes, Ahlada pleasure, Dugaihi producing, Gati by her movement, Vihara by pastimes, Vrida by shyness, Vinaya by humility, Avaloka by glancing, Suswara Akshara by her sweet voice, Avyayehi and by the limbs of the body, Manasi in the mind, Runam of men, Kusuma Ayudasya of Cupid, who has a flower arrow in his hand. Vidadhatim, making. Vivaram, oral deception. Nijamukha, from her own mouth. Vigalita, pouring out. Amrita asava, nectar like honey. Sahasa, her smiling. Bhashana, untalking. Amoda, by the pleasure. Mada anda, blinded by intoxication. Madhukara, of bees. Nikara, by groups. Uparodhena, because of being surrounded. Dhruta, hasty. Pada, of feet. Vinayasya, by stylish stepping. Vinyasena, by stylish stepping. Valgu, a little. Spandana, moving. Sthana, breasts. Kalasha, like water pots. Kabara, of her braids of hair. Bhara, weight. Rasanam, the belt upon the hips. Devim, the goddesses. Tat, tat avalokena, simply by seeing her. Vivrita avasarasya, taking the opportunity of. Bhagavataha, the greatly powerful. Makara dvajasya, of Cupid. Vasham, under the control. Upanita, being brought in. Jadavat, as if stunned. Iti, thus. Ha, certainly. Uvacha, he said. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Like a honeybee, the Apsaras smelled and the beautiful and attractive flowers. She could attract the minds and vision of both humans and demigods by her playful movements, her shyness and humility, her glances, the very pleasing sounds that poured from her mouth as she spoke, and the motion of her limbs. By all these qualities, she opened for Cupid, who bears an arrow of flowers, the path of oral deception into the minds of men. When she spoke, nectar seemed to flow from her mouth. As she breathed, the bees, mad for the taste of her breath, tried to hover about her beautiful lotus like eyes. Disturbed by the bees, she tried to move hastily, but as she raised her feet to walk quickly, her hair, the belt on her hips, and her breasts, which were like water jugs, also moved in a way that made her extremely beautiful and attractive. Indeed, she seemed to be making path for the entrance of the Cupid, who is most powerful. Therefore, the prince, completely subdued by seeing her, spoke to her as follows. Purport. How a beautiful woman's movements and gestures, her hair, and the structure of her breasts, hips, and other bodily features attract the minds not only of the men but of demigods also, is very finely described in this statement. The words Dvija and Manuja specifically emphasize that the attraction of the feminine gesture is powerful everywhere within this material world, both on this planet and in the higher planetary systems. It is said that the standard of living in the higher planetary systems is thousands and thousands of times higher than the standards of living in this planet. Therefore, the beautiful bodily features of the woman there also thousands and thousands of times more attractive than the features of the woman on earth. The Creator has constructed women in such a way that their beautiful voices and movements and beautiful features of their hips, their breasts, and other parts of their bodies attract members of the opposite sex, both on the earth and on the other planets, and awaken their lusty desires. When one is controlled by Cupid or beauty of woman, he becomes stunned like matter, as such as a stone. Captivated by the material moments of women, he wants to remain in this material world. Thus, one's promotion to the spiritual world is checked simply by seeing the beautiful bodily structure and movements of the woman. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has therefore warned all the devotees to beware of the attraction of beautiful women and materialistic civilization. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even refused to see Prataprudra Maharaj because he was a very opulent person in the material world. Lord Chaitanya said in this connection, Nishkinchinasya Bhagavad Bhajanonmukhasya. Those who are engaged in devotional service of the Lord, because they are very serious about going back to Godhead, back to Godhead, should be very careful to avoid seeing the beautiful gestures of women and should also avoid seeing the persons who are very rich. निष्किञ्चिनस्य भगवद्भजनोन्मुखस्य पारं परं जिगमिषो भवसागरस्य सन्दर्शिनां विषयिणाम् अतयोषितां च आहन्त हन्त विषभक्षणोऽप्यसाधु. Alas, for a person who is seriously desiring to cross the material ocean and engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord without material motives, seeing a materialist engaged in sense gratification or seeing a woman who is similarly interested is more abominable than drinking the poison willingly. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 11.8. One who is serious about going back to Godhead should not contemplate the attractive features of women and the opulence of rich men. Such contemplation will check one's advancement in spiritual life. Once a devotee is fixed in Krishna consciousness, however, these attractions will not agitate his mind. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Dev Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Namavom Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, seeking blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas, so that I can speak whatever I heard from my superiors and spiritual master for my own purification and as service to all the devotees. So Srimad Bhagavatam is Amala Purana. So it is describes all kinds of truth. Generally, people don't discuss these things in public, about sex life and about death, but the purpose of discussing these things is to transcend them. So we discuss so that we get proper understanding about it, and we can come out of the clutches of these things. So in scriptures, many places it is mentioned as woman as Maya. So, but it should be understood that woman is Maya for men and men is Maya for women. So in that way, each other are Maya for opposite sex in that way. So Prabhupada writes in one place that in Vaikunta, all the men are much more powerful than the uh, people on this earth planet, and the women are also much more beautiful than the women of this world, and they are traveling in aeroplanes and going through very pleasure valleys and very beautiful setting, but never a time that a thought of sense gratification crossed their mind. So even in the description of the kingdom of God, it is mentioned that actually when there is a beautiful fragrance of the flowers also, they feel very disturbing actually, because they are so immersed in glorifying the supreme personality of Godhead. Actually, even a slight fragrance of a beautiful flowers also they feel very uneasy. So there is a place where it is actually completely free from this material lust, and it is said material world is completely opposite of spiritual world. So where it is considered the least or most insignificant pleasure, sex pleasure, that is considered the highest pleasure in this material world. So here in this chapter it comes actually that Maharaj Agnidhara, son of Maharaj Priyavrat, he is interested in Pitruloka. He is not so much after going back to Godhead, but he is interested in going to Pitruloka planets. And for that, he is undergoing some austerity to get a suitable wife, and so that he can get a nice children who perform the rituals nicely, so that his stay in the that planet will be very congenial. So for that, he is doing this kind of tapasya, and Lord Brahma, who is, Prabhupada writes, on the level of Supreme Personality of Godhead, he understood the desires in the heart of Maharaj Priyavrat, Maharaj Agnidhara, and he sends a heavenly damsel called Purvachiti. And the story follows. Yes. So even now, if you see here also, he is also very some kind of pious materialist, Agnidhara Maharaj. So here in the previous purports, it comes actually why Agnidhara had such kind of desire, even though he is son of a pure devotee, he is a Maharaj Priyavrat, how he desiring to go to Pitraloka. So there it is explained by Acharyas that uh, when Priyavrat is conceiving the child, at that time he is in very lusty. Because of that, the soul who got attracted is also not so pure. So because of that, this Priyavrat Maharaj is aspiring for higher planets, not back to Godhead. So it shows actually the process of Garbhadan Samskar. He plays very important role. So he is not born out of proper Garbhadan Samskar. This Agnidhara. So the world in which we are living is fully uh, filled with so many sense objects. And the sense objects make our life very, very inert. Here Prabhupada is writing actually, it's almost becomes like a stone. Living entity becomes like a stone because of too much sense gratification. His life becomes more and more conditioned. We all call conditioned living entities, right? The features of conditioned living entity is basically this: ahara, nidra, bhai, maituna. So the more he does those things, the more he becomes conditioned. So more conditioned means he is restricted. His movements are very much restricted. He almost becomes like a dead matter. So in that way, our conditioning keeps on increasing actually to the degree a person indulges in sense enjoyment. But foolishly he thinks that if I can do more and more sense gratification, I am more liberated actually. So that is a foolishness of living entity actually. He thinks like that. So if you see the sense objects, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasagandha, we always gives the example about a fish is attracted to the worms because of the tongue, and because of the fisherman catches it and it loses its life. So because of the sense object in related to the tongue, the fish is losing its life. And the deer because of the ears. So because that is the sense gratification for the ears. And the hunter catches the deer by playing the flute. And we hear about the elephant and all these things. So one living entity, because of the one sense object, it is completely losing its life. That's why we sing in the Mahaprasad prayers, Sarira Avidyajal Jadendriya Tahe Kal. Kal means they direct drive us towards the death only. And among the all the senses, Jive Fele Vishay Sagare Taramadye Jihvati Lobhomai Sudhurmati. And that tongue is the considered double-edged sword. Every sense object has only one thing: eyes will see, ears will hear, nose will smell. But tongue will do two things: one is speaking and tasting. So it is having double danger. So once one devotee was telling actually that once the tongue is telling to other uh, sense objects that teeth, you are chewing the food; eyes, you are seeing the food and telling; and smell, you are nose, you are smelling the sense of. But all of you are giving me the final end result by tasting. I am not doing much anything, but you know you are doing all those things, and you are doing a lot of favor to me. So I am so grateful to you. you know Please tell me if I can serve you in some way. And the all other limbs of the body says, it's okay, we are giving all these things, but while speaking, be careful. If you speak here and there, our teeth will break and our limbs will be broken. But you do that one favor for us. So in that way, it is tongue is considered very, very voracious. So but if you see, all the sense objects are more or less actually it is dead sense objects. Understand? It is the objects which we see, it's dead. The food we see, it is like almost like that. But there is one living sense object that is even more dangerous. That is opposite sex. So all these things are only making a person crazy, that dead sense objects only. But what to speak of a live sense object? It is even more dangerous actually. So, and in that way we can see actually how here Prabhupada writing, it is actually it will make a person completely inert. You know, that's what we can see from the example of Nalakver and Manigriv. Because of they are too much lusty, and they got the curse and became like a trees. They became inert completely. And we see the story about Ahalya also, and she was cursed to become a stone. So this is the result of actually uh, unrestricted sense gratification. A person indulges, his life becomes more and more dull and as good as inert completely. It is very very difficult to come out of the situation. And uh, in the Nectar of Instructions also, Srila Prabhupada writes about the things about tongue, belly and genitals. So to the degree you control the tongue, to the degree you control the belly, and and the consequence is actually we can control the sex desire also. And in the same way, so our conditioning keeps on increasing actually from one point to another point. Actually, it is a person to the degree he is eating, sleeping and defending is increasing, and to the degree his tendency to for sex life also increases actually. The problem in Kali Yuga is that actually because people are eating anything and everything and accumulating so many sense objects for their defense, automatically the other components also has to rise. So it's a mathematical formula. So one thing rises means automatically other things also has to increase. So now people are unrestricted in their eating and so much accumulating so many objects for their sense gratification. So automatically that leads to mode of passion and ignorance actually. The degree a person is completely into mode of passion and ignorance, so automatically his desire for opposite sex keeps on increasing. So but here it is possible actually to the degree person is Krishna conscious. Prabhupada is writing in the end, once a devotee is fixed in Krishna consciousness, however, these attractions will not agitate his mind. And here, Prabhupada writing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is warning actually. Not only is warning, he is praying also in the Sikshashtakam. Nadhanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmaneshwari bhavatat bhakti rahetuki tvai. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not only he is cautioning, but he is praying also actually about how to what we should be aspiring for. And we can see in the lives of our acharyas also actually how much they are very alert uh, in in this aspect. So we can see in the life of once Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, it happens that once upon a time where he is living in a hut, a snake happens to enter. So one of the lady sees and she comes running into that and she says, Babaji Maharaj, there is a snake inside. Please move outside. Uh, then he says, you first move outside. you know, then it's okay, Maharaj, but snake is inside. You are a bigger snake than that snake. You first get out from this place. That is not that much dangerous. Then you are dangerous. So he is very, even though he is on the very high state of renunciation actually, when it comes to dealing with opposite sex, actually he is very very cautious, we can see. And even Prabhupada also writes in Leelamrita, it comes one place. So one of the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur disciple, mm, she is very young actually, almost like his granddaughter. And once during some gathering, she asks Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Guru Maharaj, I want to uh, ask you something. Then he says, yes, you can ask. No, not here actually. I want to talk to you personally, privately. Then he says, no, whatever you want to talk, you can talk in front of everybody. I can't meet you privately. So Prabhupada mentions actually, so how the people who are very spiritually advanced, they are very very careful in dealing with opposite sex and everything. So and to the degree person elevated in their consciousness actually, that they can see things in their proper perspective. But sometimes we, so many times we hear that Shankaracharya says in the Bhajagovinda Stotra, Nari Nari sthanabhara nabi desham दृष्ट्वा मागा मोहावेशम एतद् मांस वसादि विकारम मनस विचिंत्य varam varam. So he is saying actually, what is there in this body, it is only full of flesh, blood, and all the obnoxious substances. So you should think it again and again. And we hear the story about liquid beauty. Prabhupada speaks about the story of liquid beauty. A rich person want to meet a young beautiful woman, and she gives live demonstration that what is there in this body, by uh, vomiting and passing stool and urine and everything. She tells that I preserved this beauty in the pots. So but even after hearing these things also, still we are not convinced. We are not convinced. So that is why it is called Maya. Why it is Maya? Because even though after so much graphic description is given in so many scriptures, so much is told, also still we perceive it as sense object only. Still we know what kind of obnoxious substances are emptying from this body. Maya means that only, that which is not. Even though that is like that, we think it is not like that. Even though we hear and we, so many times we hear and we have experience also of, still we think it is sense object only. We are not convinced about it. So that's why Krishna told actually, Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. It is impossible to overcome. Hmm? It is impossible. You will never able to think actually it is Maya. You will never be get convinced. Even Shankaracharya said, and liquid beauty story is there, and whatever descriptions are given, still we think something is there. It is some sense object. It is a object to enjoy. It can make me happy. So that's why Krishna told it is impossible. You will not be convinced about it. It is Mama Maya Duratya. In the second line only, he is telling again, Mamaya prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. But one who surrenders unto me, they can easily cross over this illusion. Mhm. So that's what we see, that in the case of Arjuna, who is the closest associate of Lord Krishna, and it happens that he happens to go to heaven, and he was sitting next to the side of Indra, and Apsaras are performing, and in the heaven there is a society. Who is that? That Urvashi, you know, and she was dancing. At that time, he remembers actually that you know Urvashi is one of her ancestor. She is associated with Pururava, right? And Pururava, and he wanted to see actually who is she actually, you know. And when he sees her, then Indra thinks actually, I think, Arjuna liked her, so that's why he is seeing her. So then he tells Urosi, and you go and personally entertain Arjuna. So when Urosi comes, then Arjuna says, actually, no, actually, I don't have any other thoughts about you. You are like my mother, grandmother. No. He says, in heaven, this kind of relations doesn't exist. So you can enjoy with me. Then Arjuna rejects actually. Nothing doing. So at that time, she offers a curse to Arjuna. You become like a eunuch, you know. But Arjuna happily accepts that. Actually, for Kshatriya to become eunuch is such a kind of insult actually. So there is no more insult than that. But Arjuna, just for the sake of his loyalty to his devotion towards Krishna, he doesn't admit, actually, he doesn't accept the proposal of Urusi. So, to the degree a person feels some commitment towards his spiritual master and Krishna and his loyalty in his service, to the degree he can control his senses. And we can see the same thing happens with Haridas Thakur also. When the prostitute comes, actually, he is so prayerful actually. He is always chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. If you see, the meaning of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is we want to be engaged in the service of the Lord. That's what he is praying. So when you fall prey to that prostitute, then what we are saying, that we are no more interested in the service of the Lord. We want to serve our mind and senses. So in that way, that means we are we are saying what we are praying is wrong in one sense. So Haridas Thakur did not waver from his determination because he wanted to be only engaged in the service of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he did not, give in to the temptations of Maya Devi. And the same thing we can see in the life of His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj also. One of the time that that fellow Mr. N, he wanted to assassinate the character of devotees and he sends one prostitute. And she is also trying to allure His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj. So at that time, he suddenly remembers actually, if I fall prey to her, what will be my, loyalty to Prabhupada? And how the society will get such a disgrace and how Prabhupada will get such bad name. And, I should not, act in that way that by which Prabhupada will be displeased. So, because of his uh, great feeling of connection, and he immediately comes to his senses, and he run away from that place and reinstate himself. So, it is very important actually. We cannot uh, uh, control our senses just by our own will. To the degree we feel our connectivity with our superiors, spiritual master, then only it is easy, it is possible. So, and we can see actually uh, in Bhagavatam only, Sukadeva Goswami explains in some other places also the feminine features in very beautiful way. One of the places actually he describes Putana. You know, when Putana comes to Vrindavan, how beautiful she looks actually. He in the same way explains, you know, her waist and breast and hips and everything. So, but when we read, we don't get hesitated because in the back of our mind, who is she actually? Putana, you know, even though he's describing such a graphical way, we know she is a terrible Rakshasi Baba. We don't get so much bewildered because we know the background story. Understand? So, similarly, he also describes about Mohini Murti also. But we know it is Lord Vishnu. So, to the degree we are aware actually what it is and in what form it is coming, so we don't get bewildered. You know. So, similarly, if you see the living entity is neither male or not female, the soul is neither male or not female. The body is only male or female. It is only dress, external dress only. So, if you see, uh, God created things in such a way actually, it is a for the upliftment of the soul. If you see, if there is no attraction between male and female, for example, then there is no chance of childbirth only in this world. Hmm? And if you see, among the all the species, hmm, dogs, pigs, or anything, birds, it said the human child requires utmost care. Hmm? And if you see that many animals, they just grow like that, without they parents take care of some time and they just grow. But if you take the human child, it requires so much care till 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and no, still the parents are caring, and no, so much they are doing actually. In that way, human child requires very great care. And how that will happen, how the child will get that care from the father and mother. So Lord arranged a system in such a way, actually there is an attraction between male and female, and by which they come together and they beget the children, and they offer so much love and care, protection for the living entity, and they are taken care for so many years together. So in that way, it is very scientifically arranged by Krishna. you know in that way, it is the system is there, by which there is a proper arrangement is there. Woman requires man and man requires woman, and they support each other, and they progress towards their back to Godhead. And in that way, they give the same culture to the next generation, the children, and they also brought in Krishna conscious way. So that's why Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, dharma avriddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. I am the sex life which is not contrary to the religious principles. So in that way, as soon as Radhanath Maharaj writes in the Journey Home book, the sex life could be a gift of God. Could be, not is. Uh, but when it becomes an obsession, it blinds a person's intelligence and it creates havoc in the human society. So in that way, actually, the Shastras are very careful actually about in the guiding the living entity on a right way and helping him to going back to Godhead. And but Krishna arranged in such a way that actually in our life we never get lazy. So in that way, he arranged this attraction towards opposite sex, and we are always on guard. You know, so that otherwise, if there is no opposition only is there, then we will not take shelter of God only. We will not call out Krishna helplessly. So that's why Krishna said this will be there till the end of life. Shaknoti haivyasadum praksharir vimokshanat. So till the end of the life, actually, we will have this attraction towards the opposite sex, and we have to be always on guard. Should be always calling out Krishna helplessly. So in that way, we are always in the mood of taking shelter of Krishna till the end of the life, and we are safely returned back to Godhead. So in that way, Krishna arranged everything in very scientifical way, so that actually at any point of time we will not become slack or we will not become cozy or in our spiritual life. We are always on guard. We are always in a helpless condition, and we are always in the mood of taking shelter of Lord in utter dependence. In that way, Krishna arranged in such a way that our progress towards back to Godhead is arranged very nicely. So the uh, test of our spiritual advancement, Prabhupada speaks about the prayer of Yamunacharya. Yamunacharya says that as soon as I am engaged in the service of Krishna, devotion service, actually, whenever I think about sense gratification, I immediately become disgusted and I spit at that thought. So in that way, we can check our progress in our Krishna consciousness, and we can always remain humble, and we can be always in the mood of taking shelter and be in helpless condition. And in that way, we can safeguard ourselves. So in that way, it is very scientifically Krishna made this entire system. But provided when you understand it rightly and be under the good association and being in the prayerful mood, then we can easily cross over this cycle of repeated birth and death. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much. We have exceeded time. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की